The session, that was exciting. Let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, tonight you're stuck with the City Council President Mandy Hagedorn. Our mayor is on the line with us. He gets to spectate remotely. I'm sure he's dying watching this. Lori, do you mind doing roll call?
Thank you very much. Mayor Dumbrell.
Present.
Thank you. Council President Hagedorn.
Present.
Councilor Pippin.
Present.
Councilor Redding.
Present.
Councilor Weber.
Present.
Councilor DeForge.
Present.
Amazing. All right. And consent agenda. Have we had time to look through the minutes and agenda?
I propose a slight adjustment to the minutes on the in my council reports on the finance report. I raised a question about the 2025 and 2026 audits, and I'd like for them to be incorporated.
Okay, we have a request from Councilor DeForge asking for the minutes to be updated to reflect his question from our prior meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda items, minutes reflecting Councilor DeForge's request?
Go ahead.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, motion carries.
Oh, you didn't take a vote.
Oh, shoot. Thank you.
So.
All right, so
All those in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Me opposed.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. I'm turning out here. Okay, so now time to do public comment. I have one card in front of me. Do we have any online as well?
They needed to submit prior to 3
Okay.
o'clock today, and they're
In person only.
working, so.
All right, so I have one public comment from Mr. Aaron Nichols. Please step up to the plate. Please tell us your name, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Thank you very much.
And you turn,
Is that okay? That's okay. Thank you very much, Mayor, Council President, Councilors. I'm here tonight to talk about a UGB issue, though not a North Plains UGB issue. As you may have heard, the city of Hillsborough is asking the legislature to extend their UGB by 1,700 acres. No need or anything else needs to be proved for it. The 1,700 acres runs along both sides of Jackson School Road, south of the highway, right up to the highway, and is bordered by Mackay Creek on the side there. It's supposedly for advanced manufacturing industrial use. The current federal definition of advanced manufacturing includes AI data centers, and likely that is much of what it would be. And that is what it seems is planned to go over there. The bill, Senate Bill 1856 or 1586, I'm sorry, is also extends enterprise zones from 5 to 10 years. Those are the zones that give tax breaks to many things in our area. It's North Hillsborough, so mostly data centers again. Those are a pretty big cost to the school system, which affects North Plains as well as just the general state tax revenue. I think there's some specific reasons I'm here tonight, and then I'm bringing it to your attention. A big one is that as this city chooses to expand or not, either way, there is commercial development that we would love to see in North Plains, as well as industrial development we'd love to see in North Plains. And I think with 1,700 acres of unrestricted land, with the money that Hillsborough is willing to throw at it, in their recent IRAs, they were accepting that they would not pay that back in 20 to 25 years, and that's a lot of money. They would put in a lot of infrastructure North Plains couldn't match, and are willing to give 10-year tax breaks on these property taxes, which means that were North Plains to compete for that, it's kind of a race to the bottom. So I think that would suck up a lot of the investment in that direction, and unfairly too, I believe. It also puts Hillsborough right on the doorstep. That's right across the highway, of course. And that farmland was planned during the Grand Bargain to be part of the barrier between the two cities, so it doesn't become one big metro area, I suppose. It also puts speaking of metro areas, right on the doorstep. I think another couple reasons. One is that it lets Hillsborough kind of set the agenda for the whole region. They choose what commercial development comes here. They choose how much. They choose what kind. They're choosing the tax revenues for our area. I don't think that's fair, and I certainly don't think it's fair to do it without consultation with others. Okay, well, I'll say really quickly that I think some things you guys could do would be write a letter, have the city write a letter, and send a lobbyist. Andy Varner testified against a similar bill last time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ooh, now we get to the exciting part of the agenda. Unfinished business. It looks like, what, am I have the right? All right, it looks like under unfinished business, we have the UGB PAC meeting update and council.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
I'll take this agenda item. Bill and I talked about this. So effectively what happened is there's misunderstanding or miscommunication. We only are supposed to have one counselor at the UGB PAC meeting. So we need to pare it back. One is supposed to be an alternate, so I'll take the hit for that. I don't think I fully understood what we were asking for. So we need to pick one as primary and one as alternate. So we'll work out that in a minute. The other thing is just a general reminder to all counselors, when you attend meetings of that nature and you're representing the council, make sure, and it's not just this one, it's all meetings. This is just a general reminder. Please make sure you're representing the council. You're not allowed to represent your own perspectives. You need to represent the perspective of the council. Also, when you're at this meeting or you're ex officio for other meetings, you need to make sure that if there is another counselor there, there's no potential for deliberation. If a counselor is in the audience, they need to be not speaking up. So you're allowed to attend the PAC meeting as a participant. You're just not allowed to speak up because it could be construed under Oregon public meeting laws as deliberation. So just want to put those out there. And with that, Council President, I'll turn it back to you to determine who wants to be primary and who wants to be alternate. But if there's any questions, I'll take those. But that was what came out of my conversation with Bill.
Councilor Weber, so there's an official document somewhere that we misread that said one, not two?
No, the guidance was one from council, primary, one alternate, one from each of the boards and commissions, and one alternate.
Okay. I'd recommend DeForge, if you're comfortable being the lead, and I can be your backup.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Counselor
I'm happy
DeForge?
to help out, but just to maybe make a comment here, I think the council has the ability to set the rules on how they want to participate on the PAC meeting. So if we want two participants, let's have two participants.
If I might, I be on the cautious side of things. I did speak with the city attorney, and she would affirm what the mayor said, that if two city councilors are on a body, it can be construed as if it is an outright deliberation, because this issue of UGB will come before you. And so really the intent of the city council representative is to bring this body's asked, if you have questions, have your diplomat to the board, to the body, to the advisory committee, bring those questions. And then part of the agenda item tonight was actually an update. So on meeting one, so folks who were at the meeting, kind of give your recap, and then what questions does council have for your representative for the next meeting? So it's meant to be discuss, what you heard here, and then you as a body kind of, decide on what questions you all would like brought back, or what you consider important to understand better, or, whatever you would like to send to the committee is the bottom line. But more than one individual from council on the body speaking to things that aren't what are directed by council is personal deliberation, and that's where you run the risk of public meetings law issues.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
legal guidance.
Okay.
Counselor DeForge, do you have any further questions?
No,
Okay, so council body, it sounds like, we had a recommendation from Counselor Weber to, earmark, Mark as the primary. And he would maintain the second, the alternate, title, or position. Do we have consensus? Is consensus enough to meet this requirement? Okay.
Yes, that's good.
All right, so we've got a plan of record, Mark as the lead and Dawn as the alternate, okay. And now yes, Mayor?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying, and then I think the other piece of this is for Counselor DeForge and Counselor Weber to give reports, and so we can kind of discuss next steps.
All right. Who wants to go first?
hey, I'll kick us off. So when it comes to projects like this, what I wanted to make sure my participation was, I'll call it planting flags. So that as the project goes forward, there isn't a point where they could say that, hey, council was okay with this. Right, so what I tried to do in the meeting was talk about things that I thought you guys would care about and make sure that the project was aware of it and was going to come back and talk to you about it to allow us to deliberate and give them direction. So some of the things that I tried to bring up would be, North Plains is a low tax environment. How are we going to pay for the funding of new development, not just to implement it, but to sustain it? I tried to bring up how, as we have new economic users of these properties, how will if they use a lot of water or if they use a lot of electricity, will that impact the utility rate payers here in the town? And I guess just in general, my goal was to make sure that the project didn't go forward without coming back and talking to you guys and getting direction. And I guess what I would also recommend is that maybe, so we just have 5 minutes on the agenda today, but I would recommend that we schedule an agenda item where we could discuss this a little bit more further, and I could get feedback from you so that I can represent your views well on the next PAC meeting. Don, anything you want to add?
I appreciated the chance to be there. The thing that struck me is I was involved in the growth stuff before the relook, on the first relook, and then on this one. And I think the key question for me is how to bring any new information forward that gets somewhere with the citizens of North Plains. It's still pretty obvious to me, the majority of North Plains is not in favor of the proposed growth. The main issue I see come up is the financial impact of growth. And I think we have to address, I guess there wasn't time, Bill, but I noticed one of the people who's been at both meetings mentioned that the waterfront's going to be insolvent in a couple of years. And that, I think, would be the kind of thing that has to be addressed, because that's what that person's foothold for why we need growth is. The waterfront's going to be insolvent. We need this growth, or the city's going to be upside down. So I realize we don't have time at all those meetings, but I think clarifying what is the situation of the waterfront, for instance. The other thing for me would probably be this whole, one of the favorite lines in an old movie I saw was this guy kept saying, show me the money, show me the money. I think that's a big part of that, which is show us the money. One of the biggest things I think that comes up to citizens is if we don't grow, we can't balance the budget, we can't pay for anything. But if we grow, we're gonna get lots and lots and lots of money. I think we need some specifics to explain that to the people. If we wanna get the people to move towards this, we need to show them the money. My suggestion is kind of a simple one. Probably two of the more valuable newer buildings in town. We got a new Taco Bell. Okay, how much does Taco Bell generate every year for the city? Should be a fairly simple number. So if we get a bunch of those, how much are we gonna get every year? The other one would be the biggest, best building we've ever built in North Plains, I think is clearly that ASLM building on West Union. Could we produce the yearly income for that building? It's a 10-acre building. How much do we get from that? I think if you could present that bill maybe to city council would be helpful, and then we can bring it out, because I think that's the basic thing that the people are waiting to hear is show us the money, right? If these buildings bring in millions and millions and millions every year to the city, okay, they may weaken on their thought on growth, but I think we just have to prove it, show them. Now that we have that one building, that's a great example, a test case. How many $100,000 does that bring in every year? Da, 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 da. So that would be my suggestion to, if we're hoping to move some of the citizens, show them the money.
All right, so we have some good feedback from Mr. DeForge and Mr. Weber. Counselors, do you guys in alignment with a future work session on this topic? Mayor, you have something to, any feedback on this to share?
So much feedback. No, I concur with Councilor DeForge's points on long-term sustainability of the or maintenance or how we want to phrase that. And I'm also concerned about economic impact on ratepayers for utilities, because that is something that we're starting to see in other jurisdictions, and is going to be something that we're going to discuss in a future work session on SB 1856, the Oregon Jobs Act. I would say the other thing that I would like represented as part of council, this is just my input, so everybody else think about this as well, but what is the impact of growth on crime? Is this going to create are we going to start seeing higher crime levels? I mean, coming from a law enforcement background, we're kind of at a tipping point, to be honest. So I have a lot of concerns around that. And then, yeah, I mean, we just had this whole conversation about parks and maintenance. Well, again, this comes back to how do we fund these things? How do we fund that maintenance? And I'm not for or opposed to this. What I'm saying is these are the questions that I need to understand from as one of seven, if that makes sense. Mark, does that give
Yep,
you some thought? Thank you.
Counselor Hayden?
Thank you. Excuse me, I would just add, having attended some of the previous, UGB discussion meetings, I think that was actually talked in depth about the money and the income stream and how that can impact us or not impact us. I also just wanted to clarify on Washington County's website, you can see tax bills for certain properties. And I just in the moment here was just doing a quick search. And I, could be looking at the wrong tax lot here. But looking at this, it looks like there was just tax revenue generated for 2025. And so I think this is good feedback to take to Bill for future sessions. As we start seeing those 2025 projections roll in, can we do a public education piece? Again, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if it is, the correct one I'm looking at, there's a good portion of taxable revenue that came in. Obviously, we know we as a city only see a small piece of that. But I just would echo that, as as a city, I would love more public education on facts and, you know, how much does an industrial parcel bring in potentially, right, per acre versus residential. And I think having residents just see facts presented in a really digestible way might be helpful for people to be able to make their own assumptions without having to put in so much legwork of trying to show people the money. Let's just create an infographic and let residents make their own assumptions. So that'd be the only other thing I would just add in there.
Also ready now? Okay, I think I heard the desire from our representation to lead out and kind of walk us through some information and a future date. Do we have a consensus to have a working session for that purpose?
Could I recommend, it would be an agenda item of a council meeting as opposed to a work session, if it didn't take too much time?
Do agenda items require vote, or can that be a consensus item?
Council President, I think what you would just do is at a future meeting under unfinished business, you're getting updates and discussing what you would ask of your UGB PAC representative. And so it's just a more in-depth discussion under unfinished business.
Excellent.
And we're booked on work sessions for a while too.
It is the buzzword of 2026, I hear.
I think the mayor wants to.
Could I make a suggestion? What I would suggest, and take it for what it's worth, this is my opinion. I think this might be something that we keep on every council meeting, and even if we only take 1 minute or 2 minutes and just, you know, give, or if it's something we get to it and we're like, you know, we don't have any updates, let's move on. But I think this is something that's important enough, that's going to come up enough that if we keep it on the agenda. But again, if you disagree, that's fine. This is just thinking for a minute.
I like the idea, of adding it as a reoccurring touch point for every agenda. And I see a lot of head nods. All right, moving forward. Well, I can either do the city manager report, but we also have a resolution I may have skipped over. Do we want to do that today?
The bank sign of this consent agenda.
Mhm.
Do they approve the consent agenda?
Yeah,
You're done.
okay, great. Moving forward, city manager report.
Thank you, Council President. Okay, so I guess really kind of what I want to focus on is getting back to the work sessions. We've been keeping that schedule on a rolling basis, a work session at every city council meeting. I think you all have been covering a lot of topics, good topics in detail. So let me go over where we are now on upcoming work sessions, because April 20th is the first one we don't yet have a topic for, if council wants to have a work session that evening on Monday, April 20th. Looking that far out. So February 17th, our next meeting, and that would be Tuesday night after President's Day. We have code enforcement. That will be police chief coming in and discussing some findings that he has. And some information that he's been doing a lot of research on that, and we'll kind of come and talk about where things could go in a good way for us. March 2nd, and I'll let Mayor chime in a bit more for planning purposes on this one, but charter changes on March 2nd. And I think the scope of that conversation he's been thinking about a lot. And so Mayor, during council reports, I'll let you hammer on that one if you like, but I just want to let everybody know March 2nd is the charter change conversation. March 16th, second meeting. We have down a discussion of kind of led by the city council subcommittee on boards and commissions. You've been doing a lot of work, and you don't have to do it then, but that's what I have down after, I guess, maybe it was with Mayor discussing it with him. But if you're amenable to March 16th, that would be when your subcommittee can kind of talk about the work you've been doing and, you know, kind of the outreach you want to do with your boards and commissions, that sort of thing. So it could be that evening, that work session, if you'd like to do it then.
Do we have to answer that right now?
No, I mean, March 16th would be open at this point, open otherwise. And so if you want to wait until the 17th, your second meeting to settle that, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
We
would
can
feel
have
like
that.
that.
As we've dug in,
become a little bit more dense than we realize. And I think talking about those charter changes might upend a lot of our thoughts.
I think we can sally forward, and get as far as we can, and what we can do is give you, if, with advance notice, if we need to wave a white flag, we will let you know how close we are in our confidence
Okay.
level.
So, I mean,
At the halfway mark, we can do that.
it's ultimately up to you all, so. Yep, okay, so March 16th, we'll have a question mark next to that. April 6th, we have URA grant program, proposals or ideas that we want you to kick around and give thought to. So, and we'll be talking about that. The EDC will be taking that up, some of that up on Wednesday,
Okay.
this Wednesday. But that will be April 6th. And then April 20th right now is your first completely open, assuming the board commission subcommittee discussion is on March 16th, April 20th is wide open now. So that would kind of be up to you all on topic.
Since the moment, Tuesday.
No, it's not all day. Easter Monday, yeah.
Question, we have been, batting around the, potential offsite. Has that been solidified?
That's my next topic.
Oh,
Well, mayor has 3 dates in March that he put together, and I think it's just a matter of, we haven't nailed down on, I guess is the bottom line. But do you want to, I guess, if you would like to now, we can talk about it, but I'm happy to put in the topic for a work session on April 20th. So,
Would that be a good time to circle back with Dustin on the right away, or are we going to do agenda items?
potentially, yeah.
yeah, it seems like that was urgent.
I-
I sensed.
Want us to do contract?
Mayor,
I was gonna say, I would suggest let's pencil it in if council's okay with it, and then if we need to move it, we do. I'm also okay with not having a work session, but I want to make sure that we are getting stuff done, so that's why I was kind of pushing for him.
Did you hear that? All right. I'm aligned with Pencil and Dustin.
Awesome.
okay,
As long as everybody's in alignment.
Yes.
So my expectation is that output would then be the contracts. The outcome of his contract. Search.
that gives them some time to
Okay,
work. on it. Yeah.
all right. Counselor
Okay.
Payton.
Thank you very much. Now, Mayor identified, let me know that March 8th, 15th, or 22nd would potentially be, were there any bad dates for anybody out of that?
The 22nd, Counselor Pippen. I would love to do the March 8th, would be my first choice.
March 8th.
15th would be my second choice.
Okay.
Anyone else?
March 8th is daylight savings time, if anybody cares. I don't, I'm just, it matters.
Dealer's choice.
Okay, well then, let's do this. Let's keep 8th and 15th as identified as better than 22nd, and then go from there. Because I don't know if another city manager will come and do this to assist us, or if it will be a consultant yet, but
Okay.
let's keep those 2 dates.
Counselor Payton, you've had a question on the tip of your tongue.
I did, and it has escaped me exactly what it was, but I will share. I would just ask if we can be intentional with when we have a work session. I know we can't make any decisions during work sessions, but just being really intentional with whatever work session we have, that during the subsequent meeting, that there is something actionable. Just because sometimes it gets lost in translation, time goes on, we have to kind of rehash it, and just thinking through the sake of efficiency and how many work sessions we've had. I would love, the next work session, let's say with Dustin, right? We have a work session, here's option A, B, C, D, and E, here's some time to think about it. And then perhaps an actionable item on the agenda at that subsequent meeting, just so that we don't have to keep hashing things over and over again. And I would love to hear what the rest of my peers think as well.
Counselor Weber, I think that's a very good point. you know, like at the work session, I don't know what we usually do, but at the end of the work session, like with Dustin, it might have been good to say, here's the 3 action items and we're gonna cover those at the following meeting, like, are we gonna take care of the grass on Main? Are we gonna take care of the grass on North? What are the other specific questions that have to be addressed versus the bigger stuff? You know, like hiring a person, so. I agree with the concept of having more clarity.
Counselor Redding?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Counselor DeForge? Thumbs up. Thumbs up here. My understanding is what we walked away,
He gave a thumbs up.
thumbs up from the mayor. My understanding as we concluded that conversation was that we were walking away and he was executing contract bids for options A and B, and he was gonna bring that back to us for review. Is that our expected outcome?
Council President, I think that, yes, I think that's part of it though.
Okay.
I think we have some distinct areas in town where we also at a future date need to come back with a plan for them. For instance, Maine, where there's all this city infrastructure, we're doing the watering or not. People may or may not be able to maintain that particular area needs to have a plan for how to handle it. Is it keep going through this summer and then prepare people for a maintenance district or something where we need to ask for a fee to help pay for it or whatever it is, but we need to come up with a plan for certain special areas that Dustin mentioned that were kind of had unique issues too.
As well as code. So it was.
Yeah, and code as well.
So it's a short term on the contract, longer term packaging of options for the areas as well as code.
Yeah, there were a few moving parts there, so I think he wanted to cover all the moving parts and
Okay.
focus on what he could for short-term action, and that would be maintenance contracting. But then we need to come back at a future date, April 20th being one of them, kind of to discuss how we kind of plan to attack some of the issues, specific areas, like the areas, for instance, he mentioned Clean Water Services involved and areas are gray and blurry. I'm scheduling a meeting with Clean Water Services to talk about intergovernmental agreement renewal. So now's a good time to be discussing these things. So I think we have a few moving parts there, but we want to come back in April and address some of the more detailed ones.
Thank you. I'm glad we spent time crystallizing that. Okay, now, moving on to council reports. Who wants to go first? Krista.
Dare I say, I have not had an ex officio duty. I know my time is coming.
I'm expecting a gift from you.
You're right, you're right. Thank you for this gift. However, I know my time is coming. I will just share, just had the opportunity to interact with some of our, Washington County Commissioner District 4, elects and getting to work shoulder to shoulder with them. I also attended a in-person session for the Policy Advisory Board for Washington County, where we had presentations from various nonprofit organizations for CDBG funds and home funds. So I hope to present an update to you at the next meeting of who was awarded and what. And with that, that is all I have for my council reports so far, but I do have an ex officio coming up. I know it's coming. So I'll pass it over to Council President Hagerhorn.
All right, I also have a nice generous hiatus until March 18th with the library board is when my ex officio duties start cranking up. I am meeting with WACA in mid-February with the director. We're gonna have a one-on-one. I'll bring back some feedback on that. Counselor Hubbard.
I am going to be at the Economic Commission on Wednesday, which I'm looking forward to. Just wanted to report today, I had a wonderful kind of warm fuzzy thing at our local food bank. I ran into Laura, who was down there, who's the manager of it, and at that same time, elderly woman drove up. She got out of her car, looked like she'd been looking all over trying to find something. And it was just so touching the way Laura kind of worked with her. She said, is there a food bank? Yes. Can older people get food? Yes. I don't have a bunch of paperwork. Can I still come today? Yes. Do I have to come back later to get the food? No, I'll get it today, and it's all free. And this older woman was she was starting to get tears in her eyes, and I just realized what a gift it is to have this food bank. I've been in the food bank and I've helped at numerous food banks. I've never seen one this good. And probably the sweetest comment a few people have made is they say, I feel like I've been to the grocery store, but there's no cash register at the end. I mean, that's how nice it is. And anyway, that's a gift. And I think we just have to keep working at how do we affirm that gift. We're just lucky to have it. So I'm grateful for that in North Plains. A practical thing, I'm not really, I'm new at this, but I had mentioned if it was possible at the next council meeting, if it could be on the agenda I'm a big fan of what we're doing with the audits. I'm glad the auditor is going to come, but could we add to the agenda inviting our accountants, Marina and Associates, to also attend that meeting? I think it would be really good to be able to hear from both the accounting firm and the auditors at the same meeting. So I'm not quite sure. I guess I could just request that. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I'll visit with Mayor about, kind of how to set that up. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Redding. I haven't had any ex officio duties. But on the ex officio duties, schedule, just on Parks and Rec, I believe it's 3-9 for my, on that one. 2-9 and then 3-9. And then I just had an follow-up question about the audio system and where we're at with that.
Yeah, great question. I still haven't been able to get them committed to a meeting where we can just plan what we can spend money on at this point. So it's just phone tag and scheduling, basically.
With Mac,
No, with their contractor,
with their
with
contractor.
their contract.
Before you choose, will you kind of bring, the array of options they're telling us?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going, whatever it costs, it will be north of 60,000 because that's what we have parked in Jesse May's fund. And so that's over the $50,000. I mean, you all will have to authorize whatever happens. So yeah, so the way we have to approach it with them, is, and it might be because they're kind of working out new options for us, but I'll bring back to you basically what they come up with and what we talk about, to see what we can get for $60,000 with the money we have. And then, what kind of a grant, we won't be able to get a grant for the improvements we talked about for another $60,000, but we can apply for something south of that with MAC to do additional improvements. And so that's kind of what we're working on, is ultimately what does it look like to phase in those improvements over time with our own money, with what kind of a grant we can get with what's in their budget, and then what can happen in the next fiscal year, basically, because they're annual.
And are we getting multiple contract bids, or are we just working with one person?
If we get a grant with MAC, we would have the improvements done by their certified contractor. That's who this is. But if we were to go out and just with our own $60,000 and say, hey, we want to do these improvements, we could go out for a general bid. It's just with MAC potentially adding a grant to help pay for additional things above the 60,000. They prefer their contractor involved.
Okay.
But we can clarify that just to see if there's any wiggle room or a way around, kind of to deal with it.
Thank you.
When will we see, I missed the. Oh,
Date uncertain is when I'll have options for that.
got it, thank you. All right. Counselor DeBoer.
Thank you, Council President Hagedorn. There's been some police issues in the Rainville neighborhood. I wonder if.
Could you speak up or hold the microphone up or? I
We gotta
don't hear you on the
really stand to
recording. I've just had someone text me saying they can't hear you, so
Councilor Forge here.
thank you.
Thank you, Council President Hagedorn. There's been some police issues in Rainville neighborhood. I was wondering if the council would consider asking our police chief for a report. Just describing the issues with the intention of releasing it for the public, so.
is there anything in particular or just is, I guess, how, how much are you willing to go into the details and then I can,
Yeah, on social media, I saw people posting about people squatting in vacant homes in Brent Hill. And they're getting police responses, and there was some frustration in the community, and I just wanted to bring that up and maybe, get the council to think about that, and we could get I guess my goal would be that it would be something we could share with the public as opposed to.
I second that notion. I am aware of it, a rather serious, domestic violence situation that happened this week. That was quite unfortunate. It would be nice to kind of have a pulse test or state of the union, let's, what kind of issues they're seeing in that community.
And just to think about work sessions, I know we have the police chief for code enforcement, but we might want to be thinking about how we can, as we grow as a community, change police resources, community service officers, things like that. Let's see here. I attended MPAC, which is related to the public comment. That was on the agenda item, the 1,700 acres that is being proposed. There was no conclusion, but there was some deliberation going on in Metro about it. And they also focused on housing. Let's see here. Maybe next comments are for the record. First, well, congratulations to the city on the $1 million grant from and working with Representative Bonamici. That's a very nice accomplishment. And I wanted to ask, given the scale and long-term implications of the proposed civic center funding, would be helpful if the council could receive a short written memo outlining the scope of USDA funding, conditions, obligations, and what you're expecting from council in terms of feedback. Second comment is on the TGM TAC meeting. I saw some social media comments that the public would like visibility into the meetings. And I was supportive of that if we can build public trust and awareness. So could I ask the staff to summarize the role of TAC, what options exist for increasing transparency, whether meetings could be open or summarized?
Thank you, Councilor Forge. That, the technical advisory committee are kind of staff level meetings with staff from other agencies, utilities, county, on housing, on transportation. And it's just, basically it's just technical work based on what the advisory committee directs and what the community outreach process with this does. And so they take all of that and kind of do the technical work on where roads should need to be, where, water, all that. So it's just staff level technical work. There's no kind of policy decision type of stuff. It's just technical support. So that's basically what that is.
Councilor Weber, is there any reason though that couldn't be taped? I mean, I was just thinking, because you see, when you look on the grant stuff, it talks about the meeting that Mark and I were attending, and then it talks about this other meeting. And again, it's obviously not a secret meeting, so is there any reason there couldn't be
It goes to the reason why there are staff and there are elected officials. Technical work is something that's done consistent with kind of the state requirements for all of this, and for it to have political observation pressure, it's just staff level technical work. So it's like, I have meetings in my office where I want a camera there so people could see it, sort of thing. Not really. There's no reason for it. So that's why it's just staff level technical work, and there are no policy choices or decisions in there. So that's why.
Councilor Weber, then, I mean, that's a good point. If that could just be shared with the people. When you first read it on the website, it's kind of confusing. It looks like there's two different committees meeting. Here's one, here's the other. I think if
Yeah.
people understood that's not what this is.
No,
That's a great idea.
That's a great point, and I appreciate it. Yeah, it's really just, you know, it's things like how much land is there, what, you know, where are roads gonna have to align with water if people choose this, if people choose that, and setting up the, around here. Just kind of setting up the information so that if, you know, folks say we would like this and this, well, then we can kind of come back with, well, great, we can do it that way, but it's very costly, or great, that's a great idea because they work well together and it's easier to put in the infrastructure for that sort of stuff. That's really all that is. But we can communicate that. That's very happy to.
Great suggestion. Got it, Counselor DeForge?
I'll just push back a little bit.
Okay.
I did a 5-second Google search while you guys were talking, and I said, are TGM TAC meetings ever public? And my Google search said are frequently public and often required to include public engagement. So I just want to, you know, I totally respect the consensus and direction, but if other cities are making TAC meetings public, then I would ask that North Plains also follow that.
I would be happy to check. This is a state of Oregon Department of Transportation, federal and state funded project. And I don't know the consistency of what you found with what their guidelines are. I'm happy to clarify that. But it's really, again, it's really just technical type of work.
Sounds like we might have consensus for clarification of the guidelines. Yeah.
I guess I would reframe it as if there's the option for transparency, then we be transparent.
Okay. Sounds like we might have consensus. Excellent. All right, we're at the end of council reports now, as.
Council President,
Oh. Mayor Dumbrell.
thank you. I have lots. I'll keep these brief. So I attended the Peak Chiropractic multi-chamber networking event with North Plains Chamber, Forest Grove, Cornelius Chamber, and Washington County Chamber of Commerce. Had a great turnout. Mayor Kirk from Banks was also there. Got to spend a lot of time with different businesses in the city. Talked a lot about just what we're trying to do to grow, and also encourage them to get more involved with both the local chamber and the county chamber. So it was a good event. Peak does a great job for us. I just want a huge shout out to that team. That subsequently then I got to go meet with with Rowan and some of the businesses on downtown area. And they did form a downtown association. Thankfully I didn't have to be involved, but I just got to be a cheerleader because that's a lot of work, but they're going to take it on. So I'd encourage all of you to just, if you happen to be in one of the downtown businesses, just thank them and remind them that we actually do really appreciate what they're doing. And we know how hard this is. Because they're definitely trying to do better, trying to grow revenue for the city and for themselves. So just please keep that in mind as you're talking to them, that these are the people that are, going to help us pay the bills. So super excited about that. Let's see. I got an awesomely oversized check from the feds. I got to, stand there and pretend like I was getting it myself. I do think we should have some fun with that check and take funny pictures because that's pretty cool. And I agree with Councilor DeForge. I'd like to know a little bit more. Bill and I had a brief conversation about, before meeting with the representative that, this is not free money. Like there's a lot of strings that come with this. So we just need to work that out. So it is in the works. And I agree with Councilor DeForge. We do need to get a little bit more to council before we celebrate too much. But the fact that we actually got recognized and it got through the funding process with the current deadlock in the federal government is pretty awesome. So we can celebrate that. I do have a request to staff. And this came from a resident, and I apologize because I'm very late in getting this to staff. I think it's over a month, but I was asked by a resident to take a look at the sign entering town on Glencoe Road. And now I can't unsee it. It looks like it could use a little bit of refreshing. So I don't know like what to do with that. It seems like a good idea. I don't know if that's a URA thing, if that's a maintenance thing. So I'm not asking you to spend money. I'm just asking you to like, could you give us some ideas and some options? You know, whether it's just cleaning it up, repainting, is this something we could get volunteers to help with?
In past years, we have had a church group that had volunteered and came and cleaned it. I have not heard from them in over a year. They did that. They also did, in front of the murals on Commercial Street. That was just their one day project. We love it when civic organizations like that ask to, help out. We've had the Boy Scouts do some things around town, some other church groups. But we're kind of at their mercy whenever they contact us, so.
I
They did
think
it
what I'm
last time.
I think what I'm hearing is we should all, as counselors, be lobbying various civic organizations to do some in-town projects. So I will personally take that on because I'll be meeting with the mayor of Cornelius, who's trying to convince me to sit on a board for another civic organization. So I'll try to trade favors. But I would suggest all of you reach out to your community and see if we can get some volunteers going. I know I've had a couple people ask about volunteering, so maybe this is a good opportunity. Thank you, Lori. That was very helpful. Let's see. So one thing that I've asked Bill to add to a future agenda, and this will lead into the charter changes, but we're going to see about having our lobbyists come and discuss a couple things that are going to be happening in the short session. Since it is a short session, we probably need to get this done soon. I have raised a lot of concerns around SB 1856 as well. There's some provisions in there that are potentially, in my opinion, slightly dangerous. So we need to be thinking about that and what does that mean to us and how do we want to respond as a city? I'm not suggesting either direction. I'm just suggesting that we are going to have the lobbyist come to council so that council can deliberate in public as they should be doing on things like this that may impact the city in the future. And by saying that, I'm saying please don't deliberate about this in private because that will get us into a public meeting issue. So just fair warning. And then the final piece I have is for the charter changes. If you've been following the city of Sherwood, they put some charter changes in around basically around home rule, which effectively means that the city decides things that are city related, and the state does not get to step in. After speaking with Mayor Sherwood and looking at kind of the amendment they put in their charter, I would like us, one of the things I want us to discuss as a council is, do we want the state telling us what types of housing to put in, what makes sense for us, or is that something that should be reserved to the state? There's currently a lot of debate happening among the cities in Oregon, and that is something I think that council needs to discuss. And again, I'm not pushing in one direction or another. I just want us to have conversations in public meetings and discuss things and come to consensus one way or the other. So that'll be one of my topics for the work session. I know former Councilor Phage wanted to talk about succession planning for the mayor. If anybody else would like to take that one up, they're welcome to. Otherwise, we will likely drop that one. And that is what I have for council reports.
You were over time, Mayor.
Sorry. Wait, hold me accountable.
Thank you. And final line item on the business calendar here is just a review of your ex officio duties. Do we need to spend time going through, or is everyone clear on what their February is looking like?
I did correct the March meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, I do declare at 7:59 we are adjourned.
And we'll be going into the URA meeting on a different link here in about 5 minutes.
Thank you, Lori. 5 minutes. We